On this episode of Side Hustle, I'm in Egypt, traveling from Cairo through Giza, then Abu Sir, out into the Sahara Desert in search of the ancient necropolis, Saqqara. Located 40 kilometers southwest of Cairo, Saqqara is one of the most important cemeteries in Memphis, which was itself one of the most important cities in ancient Egyptian history. The name of the site most likely derives, as far as we can tell, from the god of this necropolis, Saqqara. It's here that I'll meet up with Maryan Ragheb. She's a PhD candidate at UCLA, studying ancient Egyptian archaeology. She's also worked with Dr. Zahi Hawass for 2 years on multiple projects, most notably the Tutankhamun exhibition, Tutankhamun, Treasures of the Golden Pharaoh. Maryan has also been a part of several archaeological excavations in Luxor, Aswan, and here at Saqqara. Saqqara is truly an open-air museum, one that has all of ancient Egyptian history on display. Kings and noblemen from the very first 2 dynasties were buried here. And this is also the location of the Step Pyramid of Djoser, the world's oldest monumental structure entirely made of stone. Among the most important of Saqqara's monuments is the Serapeum, our first stop, a series of underground galleries in which the Apis bulls were buried from the 18th dynasty to the Ptolemaic period. Serapeum. Tell me what's going on here.
So this is an amazing, cool place. They see these hallways. They have like these niches on the sides holding massive sarcophagi.
Yeah.
These sarcophagi used to hold the mummies for what we call the Apis bull.
Mm.
The Apis bull is basically a physical manifestation of the god Ptah.
Yes.
And once you find this bull, it has particular markings on it. You treat it like royalty.
Mm.
It participates in annual festivals, and it's a major event once you find the bull, and of course once the bull dies.
Mm.
So once the bull dies and it's mummified, an event that can be commemorated on plaques and what we call stelas, sort of like Egyptological term. The excavators of the place, once they found this, they used the lifespan of these Apis bulls, so it's 25 to 28 years, to sort of put the reigns of kings in chronological order and find out what's like the actual length of the reign of each king.
Ah.
So it's a very good dating method,
Yeah.
and it's such an amazing thing. But the enigmatic part of this place is that no actual bull has been found in any of these sarcophagi,
Like
except
no remains?
one.
Okay.
One that is currently in the Agricultural Museum. But other than that, they've been all emptied out. And
no idea where.
No idea where they are.
Okay.
So we just have the sarcophagi, and we have like a text commemorating the year date of the king.
Right.
And it's like the commemorating the death of the Apis.
Right.
And that's it.
Now, you and I were talking about the 25th dynasty,
Mm-hmm.
right? And their legacy on Egypt. Now, my limited knowledge, I know that they were the Nubian kings, correct?
That
so they
is
were
correct.
a conquering dynasty, is that right?
In a way, but they were very much like Egyptians in terms of culture, in terms of dress code, and they highly respected Egyptian belief systems.
Right.
So actually, one of the most famous stelas from the reign of King Taharqa, who's one of the Nubian kings, probably like the most famous of them, was found here, and it commemorates the death of an Apis bull.
Yes.
So it shows how dedicated they were to the religion in Egypt, and that their influence spanned all the way from Nubia, from Napata, all the way to the Delta and where we are now.
Now, their existence is a bit of like a point of contention in the U.S. I'm sure you understand that, where it's more of a black and white issue where it's said that they didn't exist, right? That no black kings were ever present in Egypt. So you're saying that this is actually true, that they did rule here and that they were very much Egyptian and that they were very much a part of the culture.
Exactly. And also what is very unique about the 25th dynasty is that they, it's not unique, but they took it to the next level in a sort of way. They were archaizing a lot. So they were harkening back to the traditions of the Old Kingdom in Egypt. Pyramid building, for example, and also a lot of the funerary texts that were long out of use, they kind of revived the art style as well. So this is a very particular time period where there is a mix between innovation and archaism and keeping traditions. So no, they were very much here.
Wow. This is incredible.
Yeah. And when we go down that hallway, you'll see like huge sarcophagi, like and
dwarfs this.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's take a look after you.
So this is one of the prettiest sarcophagi. It's huge.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you look at the material, this is called dolomite or diorite. And this is a very hard material to carve. It's only found in the very south of Egypt, around Aswan. So can you imagine they actually carved out from the quarry that size. And they like sailed it down the Nile River up until here, and they dragged it all the way here.
Now, see, this is why people think aliens built Egypt,
Yes.
right? Because you gotta explain to me, how did this work?
It's just they were resourceful and they just put their minds into it and
Right.
they got it done.
Okay.
Simple as that.
So just to clarify, you don't believe aliens had anything to do with this?
No.
Okay.
And I also think it's very offensive. This is one of the prettiest ones.
Mhm.
It's also not totally finished. So you see here, this part here, this is called the cartouche,
Yes.
which usually encircles the king's name. And this cartouche is empty, so there is no king's name here.
Okay.
Also, a lot of the decoration for the hieroglyphs are missing, which is quite significant. Maybe the Apis bulls died all of a sudden, so they just hurried the burial process.
Mhm.
But also, if you look this pattern here, this is called a palace facade.
Okay.
Because you will also find the same sort of pattern when we go outside, and it's the wall surrounding Djoser's pyramid, step pyramid. So this what we believe to have been the shape of a palace facade, and they used to decorate that around their tombs, but also around their sarcophagi. So it's a sort of like a house for eternity.
Okay.
So it's literally a house for eternity for that bull.
Okay. And can we tell what dynasty this is from, or exactly how old this particular piece is?
It's late period, just because it's within the gallery that was carved during the late period, so
Right.
25th, 26th dynasties. Maybe even later than that, but we cannot tell without the king's name.
Now, why would the king's name be missing? Is there any particular reason for that, or?
Sometimes they used to do that, especially during the Ptolemaic period. So this could actually potentially be Ptolemaic as well. But because the kings keep changing all the time, and they have very short reigns sometimes, and also like backstabbing during the Ptolemaic period was like literal.
They were a bunch of inbred lunatics.
Exactly.
Right? So, okay.
So there is a potential that they just leave out the king's name if they're not sure who's the current king at that moment, or who will be around when the Apis bull dies or something.
So even in the Ptolemies, they were still kind of following this ritual of the Apis bull.
Exactly.
That laid into the That's incredible.
Yeah. All the way until the Roman period even.
Wow. And so is there anything else back here on the other side? Any other writings?
So yeah, the curvings are continuing all the way
goodness.
around, and this is actually better like side.
في واحد اسهل عزيز.
Would you like to go down one?
No. No way.
مش حابب.
This is adventurous enough. Wow. Imagine getting trapped.
Very nice.
Mine was too quick.
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm okay though.
Showing themselves the prayer would not basically be effective for eternity.
Mm.
Sometimes they would just carve on the wall, like here, putting in the name of the date of the king and all of that. So all of these were taken out in modern times, and they are now in the Egyptian Museum, most of them. Some have been located to other museums around the world.
This shoot was easily one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. There were no tourists on site, which made each and every detail a heightened sensation. I truly felt as though I were transported back several thousand years. After leaving the Serapeum, Maryan and I begin the long trek across the ancient cemetery to the New Kingdom tombs. But before we get there, Maryan has something special to show me. This is the hemicycle of Greek philosophers and poets, a series of statues made by Ptolemy I, the Macedonian general of Alexander the Great, turned pharaoh of Egypt. The hemicycle was made to honor the greatest minds of the ancient Greek world: Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, and others. Another stunning aspect of the hemicycle is the obvious difference in the landscape. As we descend to the site, it's clear that in Ptolemy's age, this part of the Sahara Desert was at a far lower point. Finally, we reached the New Kingdom Cemetery, where several important officials of the 18th to 20th dynasties were buried. Like most private tombs, the tombs of the New Kingdom Cemetery consist of two parts: a sealed underground section that includes the burial chamber, and the above-ground accessible tomb chapel, where the cult of the deceased was practiced. On this day, my sense of adventure was stronger than the claustrophobic feeling welling up in my chest. As I descended into this tightly enclosed underground tomb, I had to take a deep breath and really steady myself.
Right, so we're in the New Kingdom tombs.
Right.
This is what we call the Ramesside period, reign of Ramses II onward. And it has a very distinctive style in terms of the clothes, in terms of how they portray the person. So we have a slightly protruding belly, which was first in vogue during Akhenaten's time. So they kind of started doing that again, but more subtly. The hairstyle and this overflowy sort of dress is very reminiscent of the Ramesside period. So here we find the deceased giving offerings to Osiris. So what's very distinctive about that time period is that you finally see a lot of prayers being an interaction between the people and the gods in tombs. You don't see much of the daily life scenes, but you do see a lot of worshipping to various gods, and because of course Osiris is the god of the netherworld, he is like the centerpiece of this scene.
And this is Osiris here.
This is Osiris here, and this is the deceased and his wife. So.
Wow. And how old exactly is this structure?
So we're talking here around the end of the second millennium BC. So around 1200 BCE. So, yeah.
This is
incredible.
Incredible, yeah.
Incredible. And the yellow color is very popular during that time period because yellow is solar, solar is the sun god Ra, who is also another symbol of eternity. So Ra is eternal in a sort of a cyclical manner. Osiris is eternal in a sort of the netherworld sort of sphere. So invoking the sun god Ra is very much like a popular symbol of regeneration and rebirth, just like the cycle of the sun.
How has it been maintained so perfectly?
It is amazing, and honestly, I think Egypt is blessed because of its dry weather.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have all of these things surviving with that quality.
Right.
But yeah, it's amazing. And also the limestone in this area is good. So it can survive for a long period. It's not really or anything.
Wow.
So here is the god Anubis. He's the guardian of the cemetery, and he also guides the deceased on his way to the afterlife. That's why you always find him in tombs like this. Sometimes he's holding the deceased's hands and kind of guiding him through. And then in this area right here you find Nephthys and Isis, both of them following Osiris here.
Despite all of the ground we covered, we barely scratched the surface of all the ancient secrets of Saqqara. The site is such a new find that lying in the sand all around us are artifacts such as ancient pottery jutting out of the ground like rock outcroppings. I believe Saqqara may hold more answers to the past than we have questions. It will take several generations after ours to truly understand the magnitude of this discovery.